The second day and the final day of the G7 summit here in Taormina, Italy, kicked off with G7 members holding a roundtable meeting with 5 heads of African states. It is in this particular meeting where President Uhuru Kenyatta made his first address at the G7 summit. Making his first address at the G7 summit here in Taormina, Italy, President Uhuru Kenyatta called for unified efforts from the G7 members in fight against global terrorism.
All we have agreed really is that we need to enhance that ability. We need to accept and understand that terrorism is not a fight that belongs to a country. This is a global war, and we must all partner together in order to ensure that we succeed. Success comes from working together. Success comes from understanding that this problem is not a problem associated to either Africa, Kenya.
It is in this particular meeting where President Uhuru Kenyatta called for unified efforts and closer cooperation between G7 members and African states in effort to combat terrorism.
We are partnering with G7 members and collaborating heavily in terms of intelligence sharing, collaborating heavily in terms of training, collaborating heavily in terms of thwarting attacks. There are several instances which are there.
And Prime Minister shared Uhuru's sentiments, stating that dialogue with Africa was key.
Especially with some of the sentiments that were expressed, especially by the Canadians, the French, the Germans, on the fact that it's time for them to also start listening to the African story. It's time for them to stop dictating positions to the continent, but rather listen to what Africa's needs are and see how they can harmonize their own objectives with ours, as opposed to it being a talk down. We need to be able to discuss, to deliberate, and indeed recognize that Africa is coming forth. Africa is now in a position to be able to understand where her problems lie, what the solutions are, and the need for them to partner with us in terms of building homemade solutions.
While addressing the Africa Outreach session at the just concluded G7 summit in Taormina, Italy, Uhuru says Kenya's innovation use of technology such as ICT, M-Pesa, M-Firm and Ushahidi has made it the hub for East and Central Africa. Uhuru had several bilateral talks with Japan Prime Minister, Canadian Prime Minister, where they agreed to partner in projects of mutual interest such as health, trade and infrastructure. President Uhuru Kenyatta has left Italy, Rome for Kenya with an invitation to attend the G20 summit to be held later in June in Berlin, Germany. Reporting for KBC Channel 1 from Taormina, Italy, I'm Linus Moshigari.